Good morning, everyone. You've chosen a very special day to join us because we're with the co-founder and CEO of Athos. Thanks so much for joining us this morning, DJ.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
First off, like I told you, my entire family is enamored with your technology. Can you start out with telling us your competitive edge in the industry, even though it's a one-man race right now?
Sure. I think there are a couple of things that may give us a competitive edge in the industry. One is that we've been able to capture electromyography signals, which are the signals that your muscles emit when they get activated. It's how muscle fibers communicate amongst each other, as well as process signals coming from your brain. So there's not a lot of companies that can capture this information. This technology is being previously reserved for very high-end sports institutions, and these machines cost about $16,000. There's wires everywhere, the sticky electrodes. It's a clunky mess. So what we've developed is a way to capture the same signal in what you normally wear, your clothes. You can put it, it's in your clothes, you just put it on, work out, put it in the washing machine and the dryer. So it's just, you just treat just like what you normally do with your stuff.
And the core is literally this big.
Yeah. Do you want me to grab it?
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
Give me a second.
All right.
Awesome. This is a first look.
Is it? Oh. Yeah.
Cool.
Are you guys set to ship them out this fall, DJ?
Sorry?
Are you guys set to ship them out this fall?
Yeah. There's still, it's hardware. There's so many things to do still. But yeah, we're pretty confident.
That's great.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of that might have to do with your board of advisors. You've got some pretty cool people on there. So I want to know how you targeted investors who could also be on your board of advisors.
I think, again, there's definitely a lot of fortune involved with the whole situation. But working with people who have experience doing hardware is a huge benefit because they understand everything that is involved with building hardware, as well as thinking of it as beyond just a hardware component for it, and how you build a community around it, how do you build all these other things around it, and how do you get build engaging experiences. So it's been fortunate to have a bunch of advisors that are that want to build that whole system together.
It's also
a different world.
Sorry,
Jenna.
Said it's also fun to have the Golden State Warriors behind you.
Yeah, they're well. I mean, it's not the team officially. It's
but they're on your side.
The entire team.
Yeah, they're all just hanging out here. Actually, the CEO of the Warriors is a really amazing investor as well as a really smart guy. So it's great to have him and have his advice all the time.
What kind of things are you learning from him?
I think he brings a lot of experience about building companies and scaling them, as well as introducing novel products into the market. Like he was one of the lead investors in something called Invisalign, the dentures. Yeah, so just that story of how they scale and how they learn about a lot of things on how to introduce something that's very disruptive and very different from what the market normally did, and approaching and how they marketed it to the consumers instead of the doctors itself. It's a lot of really interesting lessons in that.
So I know that Athos is all about pushing the body to go beyond what you've perceived as possible. How do you transcend impossibility at your company? You talked a lot about culture in the beginning.
How do we transcend?
How do you make sure that you're under the notion that impossible is nothing for your team?
I think that when you have people who believe that, and it's sort of part of the culture from the start, that you stop asking why and you keep asking the why not and stuff. It really helps with pushing the things further. And also once you've hit a couple of situations where it's like, oh, this is impossible, and you break through that, you sort of get a confidence in the team, in the culture of that, of situations coming up and then going, okay, we can solve these now. Luckily, we've solved most of the impossible questions. So right now it's a lot more execution side.
What was the first breakthrough for you guys? Because I saw a couple of pictures on your Twitter of you and Chris testing it out in the gym, and it looked really dangerous at the beginning.
Oh God, it was. What was it? What was the first breakthrough?
When did you know, hey, we have to pursue this, we're going to make this our senior project?
Ooh. So we knew from the very start, we knew it was going to be a senior project. There was no backing out. There's no backup plan. This is what we're going to do. But I think the moment we realized it was a product and something that was more useful for people than just something like a project for us was when we realized how immediately actionable the data was with like minimal interpretation, and knowing how much more we can layer on top of it, we knew that there is really something that we can produce and give benefit to a lot of people.
And big data is a big game, and I know that part of your ultimate goal is really to bring this data to the masses. But the initial Athos investment is pretty steep at $400. So although it's only a one-time fee, how are you getting people to take the leap?
I think the people who are deriving value from it see the value from it because they're comparing it to a pair of like Lululemon shorts or Nike running gear or something, which is somewhere between $60 to $100. And if you're going to get a Fitbit, which is going to cost you $120-ish, or Nike Fuel Band $150, this is $50 more than that. So for them, it's like, okay, I'm getting a lot more value for it. And it also comparing against like a personal trainer, right? A personal trainer costs somewhere between $60 to $70, $60 to $100, whatever. It can go up to like $350 an hour. So if you can have this while you're working with a trainer, it adds more value. You can derive more value out of it. Also, when you're not working with your trainer, you can still compare what you did with your trainer with when you don't have your trainer. So it's getting that inside and letting you take more action on that is, I think, the reason that people are okay with the costs.
So 2 years later, DJ, when you guys aren't at risk of getting electrocuted when testing out Athos, how are you getting the most out of your beta period?
A lot of it is to do with getting a lot of influences and people to start working through it. Mm-hmm. And also we have a very interesting group of interns who are basically at our local gym with a whole bunch of Craigslist folk just coming through and just like cycling them through, mm-hmm. going through and doing testing. So that's really helpful.
So you guys were named the most interesting wearable in tech, and there's a lot of emerging wearables out there. So first of all, congratulations. Am I wrong?
Thank you. I'm just going to be modest and actually let the judges decide.
Yeah. Well, it's pretty cool, man. So I want to shift gears, though, and talk about press for a moment. You've received a lot of coverage, so how are you getting that press?
To be honest, it's mostly been inbound. Mm-hmm. We haven't been reaching out that much. We've been working on a few things that are going to be coming out in more in-book stuff, but a lot of the digital stuff has been just organic, being reached out to us, or like funding announcements and something like that.
So truly letting the judges decide.
Yeah. I know. We should. We're thinking about capitalizing on that a little bit more, but definitely been fortunate that there's been a lot of interest in the wearable sphere, and a lot of that has been just coming back to us. So that's been really awesome.
Are there any tactics that you guys are using to try to, I guess, get some more exposure out there?
It's for us. It's about providing content for people. So we'll start launching that kind of stuff to help people understand what we're really building. But we're not really doing anything to like create stories and attract press. Should probably get better at it, but
I think really the description of what you guys are doing in itself warrants so much excitement. One of the best blogs I read describing Athos said, if you're doing a squat and you think you're targeting your butt, we're going to show you that you're actually targeting your quad and you're working the wrong part of your body.
Yep.
So I think that's what people are getting excited about.
Yeah, I'm really excited for when we start changing how people work out because of data-driven decisions that are built on like thousands of people rather than the rhetoric that's built by physiotherapists that have studied 20 people. And what happens when that happens? What happens to activities that are more protein use? How do you make them safer? All those things. So that's going to be really interesting.
Working with co-founders is another important part of a startup's early days. And you and Chris met while you were at school, but you also added in Shamat a few months later after your senior presentation. What's it like adding in a co-founder, especially someone who has so much experience?
I would say it's one of the best things we've done. I think as long as everybody has mutual respect, have the same goals, and want the same things at the end, it builds a very healthy relationship. And that actually produces a lot of really interesting, like really good results, because everybody's voices are heard. Even though he has more experience, it's not I have more experience, therefore you should do this. It's very much a discussion, and the experience is added on more of as color and a reference point, rather than this is how we should do it because we did it here this way, which I think. Unfortunately, that he realizes that there's no one game plan that goes into everything, but coming up with a game plan based on what's going around, understanding.
What's the most important lesson you've learned working alongside him? Tough question.
There's so many. There's just so many.
You can share as many as you'd like.
About the culture, I think, about how building a culture where everybody's accountable for what they're doing, fosters mutual respect, and like promoting intellectual honesty. I think that's some of the really important things I've learned from him, is like how to build the organization, how to build the culture in it, how to drive teams. It's definitely I honestly don't think we would be where we are if he wasn't advising us as much as he does.
So he plays a very hands-on role with the team.
Definitely. Spends a couple of hours a week with us.
That's really lucky for an advisor and for someone coming in later in the game.
Yeah.
Do you think it's essential for early stage startups to get an advisor early on in the game?
I think different perspectives are definitely valuable. And if you have the same perspective from a whole bunch of people, you're really not going to go anywhere. You're all going to think the same thing. And it's like, great. I think that's awesome. I think so too. You're not going to get anywhere. I think having different opinions and people who are critical and aren't afraid to voice them, it helps get you to a better place, because it's not conflict if you're challenging the ideas and vetting them essentially to be better ideas.
Very cool.
So aside from the awesome innovation you guys are doing, the potential really is limitless. So what's next?
What's next? I mean, right now we're really focused on getting this product out to consumers. What's next is definitely, we've developed the technology in such a way that we can iterate on that outerwear, because clothing is definitely an expression of yourself, and we don't want to be hindering you. That's why we built everything as more for an undergarment that you just wear underneath, and you can put whatever else you want to wear over it. But we'll start developing more technologies that are or rather more styles and colors and seasons and everything else, so that you can be more expressive with it. But also developing the ones that cover more muscles or less muscles, depending on what you want to do. So if you want to wear a tank top just to go to yoga, or do you want something that looks like you cast because you're a sprinter?
Do you envision partnering with any clothing companies in the future?
It's definitely an interesting conversation to be had at the time. So, but we're really focused on just building our brand and getting things going.
Very cool. Thank you so
Awesome.
much for joining us, DJ.
Thanks, guys.
Can you let our users know how they can log on to Athos and they can get their pre-order in?
Sure. Just go on to liveathos.com, hit that reserve now button, and hold your place on line.
Awesome. And those should
Alright.
be shipping, like you said, in fall 2014.
Yep.
Awesome. Thanks, DJ.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
guys.